Hello? Okay. So today, what we are going over is chapter 6, and it's covering making cross curricular connections. So the first thing we have here is a coordinated approach to student success, what the chapter first starts going over. So healthy students are important to society. As students grow up, they take over everything from construction to engineers and any jobs that we currently do. They grow up and they start putting out for society. So, health related problems affect children's learning. So, your asthma, ADHD, teen pregnancies, lacking of exercise, not eating breakfast, things we've all heard can affect the way a child learns. Asthma, they can't breathe, health problems, ADHD, not being able to focus, teen pregnancies, a lot of times they'll end up dropping out. Your lacking of exercise is shown in to not you wouldn't be able to focus. It chemical processes in the brain. So low income families are more likely to suffer from these issues as they're not able to have a very good diet. They're not financially able to be near things for a child to get the exercise or things that they might need. So a coordinated, equity focused approach, regardless of home life, will level the playing field and allows the students to focus on academics. So if they're coming from low income, high income, anything, any background the child come from, if while they're at school, everything is the same for them, it's not going to matter. It'll help to boost their academics and school life. So, one thing that's mentioned here is you got your whole school, whole community, whole child. So, this was formalized back in 2014 and it integrates and coordinates the goals of the health goals of the education and health sector. It has 10 components, which we will discuss each as we go on here. Health education, physical education and physical activity, your health services, nutrition environment and social services, physical environment, social and emotional climate, the employee wellness, family engagement, and community involvement. So for the health education, it's comprehensive. It covers a multitude of different things. It's developmentally appropriate, skills-based health education program. So we don't want to be giving second graders stuff that they're not really should be able to do until the fourth grade. Fourth grade, we don't want to have them doing below. We want to whatever's appropriate for that age group, that's what you're going to want to have for their health education program. And this is going to be taught as part of the school's entire curriculum, like a core anything. A well designed and implemented health education is most likely to change students' knowledge, attitude, and skills. So it's been shown that with a good physical activity and everything, health education can improve students because they know about different like dietary things, just things to improve their overall health, their moods, and everything's going to get better. When it's sporadic or ineffectual, it limits the likelihood of change and it may increase negative student outcomes. So, if we're not doing it often enough for the students to actually learn anything from it, the benefits that the students could get from it, it's not going to be there. And it's more related to them involving for risky behaviors such as smoking, alcoholism, anything that could be of risk to their health. So, next would be your physical education and physical activity. So, it recognizes the importance of a well designed physical education program that follows the national standards for K through 12 physical education. The goal of this should be to get all students engaged and moving for most of the class, regardless of their ability level. Because in each class, some students are going to be more well along in their physical capabilities than other students are. Like in athletics, some students are just naturally better than other students. But regardless of their abilities, still need to be getting them up and moving because in school, a lot of students, this is the only time of physical activity they get. And so we need to make the most of it while they are there in school. And it's recommended that children get 60 minutes of physical activity per day. So if they're not getting it at home, we've got to make sure we're at least trying to get them to reach that recommended amount while they are there, whether it be for in a PE class or outside at recess on the playground or anywhere the children are able to get up and move. We need to help at least get them to that recommended amount. Because I know a lot of times, especially nowadays, children like to play a lot of video games. And when they're just sitting there playing games, they're not going to be active and they're not going to be moving, getting the amount of physical exercise that they need. So, with health services, this encompasses all professional health related services that students may need or that are provided within the school environment. So, anything that could affect a child's schooling, such as their health, asthma, their dental issues, and their vision. So, I mean, if you can't see the board sitting from in the classroom and you're not able to read it, you're not going to be able to learn as well because you can't see the board. Dental, like if you got a toothache, it could really affect your ability to pay attention to what your teacher is saying because you're focused on your tooth that's hurting. I know when I've had a toothache before and I had to have a root canal, that was the only thing I could pay attention to was how much my mouth was hurting. Your health, if you're sick or something, you don't feel good enough to pay attention. You were just going to sit there and try to sleep or do something, but you're not going to be paying very much attention. So, not many people are familiar with the role of a school physician. Most people's heard of a school nurse, but not everybody's actually really sure of the role of a school physician or school based health center. I know at Louisiana Tech, we have the Green Clinic that's on campus. But K through 12s, a lot of times they don't have stuff like that. Some schools, though, have partnered with community and nonprofit organizations to ensure that the students receive all the health needs that arise. So they are able to be able to go to that place if a child's sick or anything that comes up, they're able to meet that child's need. That way they are able to focus and do the best they can to succeed in their academics while they're at school and not letting something else affect their schooling when it could be prevented, such as health issues. So the nutrition environment and services is incorporates anything, any and all food that's available during the school day or that's on school property. You got breakfast in the cafeteria or the classrooms. Some places even have grab and go kiosks. You also got your lunch in the school stores, again, cafeteria, concession stands, booster sales. Then you also have like your pizza parties for good behavior, classroom parties, bake sales, and some teachers even have little candy dishes on their desk. All this is included in this nutrition environment, and it basically they'll show what the school is committed to, and it could in turn affect the child's diet because they're at school for a large part of the day. If you're eating breakfast and lunch, well, that's two of the three meals most children get out of the day. So, what they're getting from a school is really important because a lot of their nutritional values needs is coming during that school day. Vending machines, what's offered in them, all this could be affected. And it if they're just offering junk or something stuff that's not very nutritional, it's going to affect the students. But if they also see that it's all healthier options with higher nutrition, that could help encourage students to continue even outside of school to keep up with the good nutrition because the school has been showing it. So schools are encouraged to look for areas of improvement and create dialogue with multiple stakeholders in order to find ways to improve the offerings of the environment. So if they're not very nutritious, they're encouraged to get with people who could make a difference in order, whether it be funding or whatever, in order to get more nutritious and healthier foods being offered during the school hours. And like I said, even at concession stands, like at sporting events, what's offered because it's on the school property. The concession stands, what's offered at sporting events such as little football games, baseball, soccer, any of the sports where an event is being held, or it could be even little carnivals at the school for a fundraising thing, but the food is still being offered. All of that needs to show what the school is holds important and a student's nutrition and is important and should be shown to parents that everything, all that is important. So the counseling, psychological, and social services. So all these are in order to support the mental health of children. I know nowadays the mental health of people is becoming more and more apparent every day. And so things like this could be for testing children for special needs, providing counseling and support to students who are struggling. Some students may just need somebody to talk to because of what's going on at home. Some students may witness violence at home, struggle with anxiety, depression, be dependent on alcohol or another substance, and they could just need somebody to talk to or not know how to get out of what they're going through, and they might need somebody there to know that somebody's there for them. Counselors are critical to address students' mental health needs and help them feel safe. School staff are key for discussing strategies when working with students who present with trauma. As some of them won't say it. You'll just be able to tell by their actions. There's a song by Jason Michael Carroll, Alyssa Lies. I don't know if ever heard it, but that it's just this little girl lies to everybody about what she's seeing. She's got bruises on her and she lies and everything to everybody, and because she's being abused at home. And so that's the things that are being seen. If would they have the counseling and psychological services there, they could possibly help those students who are struggling with things like that. They may have experienced adverse childhood experience or just have difficulty engaging with curriculum. There is a wide variety of things that could go on at home, or just things going on in their head to cause them not being able to focus on their academics. And this is just another way for us to help the students be able to put forth their best foot towards their academics. So the physical environment considers the physical space of the school, which is buildings and the grounds of the school, all the land and property. So it is often overlooked, and it can affect the health and safety of students, and it can cover anything from the exhaust related to the buses idling in a parking lot, how the pests are controlled and managed. Because if there's pests, you get what's the word? Company to come out to exterminate them. It depends on what chemicals and everything they're using and ways they're using. Could this harm a child? I know a lot of times nowadays they are using the green chemicals and stuff so it doesn't affect your pets or children, but anything like that could affect how a child's it could affect their health, which then in turns affects their schooling. So you also need to check if the buildings are compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. If a student is disabled and is unable to get in and out of the buildings or around the campus of a school, they have a hard time with that. They're going to feel out of place. They're not going to feel like they belong there. And playground equipment needs to be inspected for safety every so often, because if a student's out on the playground and they end up getting hurt, well, if they're hurt, they're not going to be able to focus on their schooling, because they're going to have to either go home, go to the doctor. It's going to be with them for a little while. So your social and emotional climate. When students feel connected to the school, they are more likely to experience academic success and better health outcomes. So this one is unique because not only is it on the teachers, it also the children are need to help to create this climate. Bullying will affect this climate in a negative way. But if everybody's getting along, everybody's friendly with each other, it's not going to be creating a negative space. So there are several areas for this part: policies that promote inclusiveness and equality, student safety, the involvement in extracurricular activities and clubs, your attendance and tardiness rates, open conversations with people, and promoting diversity, your class sizes that allow engagement and personal attention. If a class is overly large with only one teacher, she's got to make sure she's talking to everybody. She's not going to be able to give each student that extra one-on-one that a student might need. And collaborative decisions making within the school that includes the student voice. I know for the university level, you always got this government association, but for smaller schools, they don't a lot of times have this. So you got to find another way the students get them involved and let them believe that they are a part of the decisions going on at their school. If they feel like that way, they are more comfortable there and they're more excited about coming to school because they have a say in what's going on with their school. Employee wellness. So, as a staff member of the school, we are role models for the children, and it sets the tone for the entire school. So different schools give different teachers the opportunities to maintain their health. Some schools allow the teachers to, while they are there, the time to go to a fitness center so they can maintain their health, or they have yearly health inspections that'll come through. They It's all different just according to the district or even that school, but the way a teacher is, their health will also affect a student, because if a teacher's going in there and is always sick, he or she is not going to be able to teach the students as well as they could if they were healthy. So you also got family engagement, which it considers the role of families play in the development of their children. So as students become independent, they still need to feel connections with their parents and caregivers. So to improve the engagement, the CDC recommends 3 steps. One, it's for us teachers to connect with the parents. Two is engage parents through a variety of opportunities. And three, sustain the relationships by addressing challenges of getting parents involved. So this goes back to their home life, basically. And if a student is having a really good home life and their parents are really active and show support in a child's education, they're going to be more excited about it and they're going to put forth a better effort because they have their parents' support with them and they feel a lot more comfortable and they're able to do better in school. So the community involvement, everybody's heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, this is basically saying the same thing. So it requires the schools to look to the communities for support and leverage. Not one teacher or parent can be responsible for the health, education, and well-being of a child. and getting the community involved builds support across each domain. So everybody's responsible for the funding of school programs and will be direct recipients of services that today's students will provide. Because, like I mentioned earlier, the students now in 30 years, they're going to become our doctors, they're going to become our lawyers, they're going to be construction worker, any job in 30 years. Those young students that are in elementary now, they're going to be the ones taking it over. And if their education isn't up to par, those jobs down the line, they're going to start suffering because we weren't able to give them a good education like they need to have. But if they have a great education and their education's exceptional, well, those jobs, once they start taking them over, they're just going to be getting that much better. And so even though we may not have the benefit of it right now, because not everybody has children that's in a school at the moment, but down the line, once they start taking over all those jobs, that's when the entire community benefits from that child's education. So, shaping local wellness policies. For everything to succeed, there must be a core group of people in the school and at district levels who are responsible for making it happen. So, your school board, then you also have a group of people in the school who are needing to implement all those groups that we just covered to make sure everything is coming along as it needs to for a child's education. So you have the school wellness committees, which develop and implement the local wellness policies. And you got a school health coordinator, which will vary from district to district, but it is recommended that there is a leader for all the curricula, programs, and policies related to the health and well-being of students. If there's not a single leader and there's 100,000,000 different ideas going around, that means there's 1,000,000 different things that are coming up. But if there's one leader to govern all of everything, basically, you're going to know it's going to go down like this, and it can take out all the fighting over how everything's going. So making interdisciplinary connections for school improvement. This one's we're just covering, we're looking for ways to address the student outcomes and improve them in a systematic way. And this is governed by the state and federal requirements. So, like your state standards are put up there for all the schools to follow, make sure the children are living up to those standards. So, each school at least has to get to that level. It could include improving graduation dropout rates, absentee rates, student growth from year to year, performance for special education, student discipline rates, family and community engagements, the emergency response plan, and staff absenteeism. All of this is going to make a difference in a school and in education overall. And we need to look for ways to improve the understanding. The way to improve is to understand the areas your school district has identified as the most that's in need, because not every district is the same. Some places are going to be hurting from the absentee rates more than others. Some won't have very good emergency response plan. Some the students will be there, but the staff won't. I know my child's school, his first school he went to, it ended up having to close because there wasn't enough growth, and the amount of students kept declining. They eventually had to close that one. The performance for special education. So there's sometimes not very many special needs students in a school at all the time, but they should have just as much ability to succeed as any other student. So that's, you just need to listen to your school district and what they say is the most that's needed for that district. That's what you need to start focusing your attention on the most. And that will conclude for today. And I will see everybody later.